Okay, this is my 1970 C10. It's kind of hard to see. It's up in the air and its lights are right in the way, so. However, this is my 70 C10. It's been lowered. It's had a bunch of work done to it. It's upgraded from, used to be 6 lug. I converted this over to 5 lug. It's got disc brakes now. I'm just showing you guys. This had originally a turbo 350. I converted it to a Saginaw 3-speed. I got all the Z-bar, the linkages and everything from an old donor. This is one of the 5 point bell housings for that Saginaw, and I've already gone ahead and removed it. I just wanted to show you guys, this was in fact an automatic. See, it's got the low tunnel, and I've had to cut a hole in there for, I did that back when I was probably 16. I've had this truck for about, well, 15, 20 years almost. So anyway, I wanted to show you, I have a transmission going in this truck that's very rare. This is the 3-speed. As you can see, it's a cast iron case, nothing fancy. It has, as you can see, the 5-bolt bell housing. Got the Chevy input shaft, of course. This transmission looks a little bit different. This is a new process, A833, otherwise known as an MY6. And what's neat about this is this right here. 1, 2, 3 with overdrive. And if you look, this is a factory. Oh, where does it say? Let's see. Now it's going to make me a liar. But anyway, this is a, oh, right there, Hurst. This is a factory Hurst competition shifter. Look how nice that is. These were very rare. They put them in Chevy half-ton pickups from 81 to 86. I just happened to have 2 of them, so I got really lucky. They take their own bell housing. However, they are the same exact case length from here to here. So input shaft flange where it meets the bell housing to tail shaft flange. Same length as a Saginaw. They take the same transmission mount as a Saginaw. They literally have every spec the same. Same input shaft, same length. This is a direct bolt-in if you have the bell housing. I'll show you that. So I've got one of these bell housings. This used to be hydraulic slave cylinder. I, however, have provisions to swap this over to a manual. So I can use my same Z-bar. I'll take this ball stud off, and I'll use that same thing in my truck. I also have another bell housing that is a hydraulic slave cylinder, so if I ever want to convert this to a hydraulic, I can do it. But anyway, guys, I'll show you this once it's in the truck. I'm going to take this bell housing off. I'm just super excited. I've been saving up all these parts for like the last 10 years. And I went through and I rebuilt this. New seals, needed new bearings, so I got a new input bearing. Actually, I put a new rear bearing in as well in the main shaft. The counter shaft was okay. I got new seals for the shift arms, reversed arm. This thing is ready to go. I am so excited. I know I'm rambling, but I am just so excited. And also I've got, this was the shift fork. I might be able to reuse my shift fork. We'll see. And I've also got all of the levers. Let's get this thing installed. I'm really excited. I've been planning on doing this for many years, and I'm just now getting to the point where I've had a moment in my life where I have a spare couple hours. So this is going to be the old scene. I'll show you the new scene. If you guys are doing the swap, I wish you the best of luck. These parts are getting so ridiculously hard to find. This is the stock Saginaw cast aluminum bell housing, of course, and we've got our dust shield. It does not fit the A833 dust shield. So you've got to have a special dust shield that will fit, because this one, as you can see, you could probably get away with having 2 bolts in there, but the rest of this down here, you're going to either have to drill holes, which isn't ideal, and it doesn't quite fit the shape of it. As you can see, it's not radiused so that it's going to go over. So anyway, don't butcher your old Saginaw parts. But this dust shield only fits this MY6 bell housing. And again, these are like finding hen's teeth. These things are ridiculously hard to find. Saginaws, they're still available. So I like Saginaw 3 and 4 speeds, but I want an overdrive because I've got 342. No, I've got 370s. I can't remember, 350s or 370s. Overdrive would be nice. That's why I'm going through all this trouble. So anyway, I just wanted to show you all the nitpicky, fussy details that you probably will never see again. So obviously, you got to drop the starter to get that dust shield in behind before you put the new bell housing on. And this clutch looks old, but probably is old, but it doesn't have a lot of hours on it. So I'm going to reuse that clutch and flywheel. Okay, I know it's dark. I apologize. This is what came with the A833 assembly that I bought like all those years ago. This is the one that's going to in my truck now. I'm going to reuse this in the throwout bearing. I want to show you something extra cool about these. That little grease fitting right there. If that light shows it or not. But there's a grease fitting, and the ball mount has a hole in it. See, that's a grease fitting to grease the backside of your clutch pivot. How cool is that? Super excited, if you couldn't tell. Now let me just show you. I've got a pristine bell housing here that has the hydraulic slave cylinder. As you can see, it's got this flange here. Now, I have the clutch fork for this slave cylinder. This makes this a complete bell housing. I was hoping to use this fork. This is a bell housing that I've got. As you can see, someone shaved off this area where this slave cylinder would have been. No big deal. However, I don't want to convert to hydraulic right now. I want to use my old clutch fork. So I put it on there, put the bell housing on the engine. I'm going to need to clearance this just a little bit, which is not a big deal. That doesn't really need that structure there. So I'm going to grind this out so that my clutch fork can travel ahead and it can meet my Z-bar push. I guess you'd call this just a push button. So anyway, that'll give, because right now, if I put this bell housing on there, it's preloaded because it's hitting against this case. So I'm just going to shave this case down a little bit. All will be well in the world. Later, if I want to use this, I can have a perfectly fine bell housing ready to go. Okay, we got the bell housing on. Now, again, I don't know if I mentioned, this was a hydraulic slave cylinder bell housing before. So now you can kind of see, light's really reflective. Now you can see I've got a nice bit of release. So that now that I don't know if you can see, sorry guys, this lighting is really poor. You can see the throwout bearing has no preload whenever you release that. So that is effectively, in my opinion, perfect. So I can adjust this rod to make it all work. But as you can see, that's clearance just right. Okay, so here we are. As you can see, the transmission mount's back on. The cross member is in the same location that it was in before. Everything bolts right up, as you can see. The dust shield, everything looks good. Of course, I have to take the oil filter off. I've got my push rod here for the clutch. Everything is looking good. Just got a final adjustments here. Right now, I'm trying to figure out this shifter, because the shifter is much bigger than the old Indy shifter that I had, the Hurst Indy shifter. The competition shifters are much bigger. And what I mean by that is this is the Indy. This is a really lightweight, cheesy shifter. Even though it's a Hurst, it's still a good shifter. It's just cheesy. Compared to the competition shifter, which is a much tighter, smoother shifter. Also, this is, 3 levers versus 2. But this is a much better shifter, so as you can see, it's bulkier. We're going to figure out how to get this in the truck. We have to cut the floor some more. Okay, we got the Hurst competition shifter mounted in there. And one thing I did not take into consideration was how much of the floor I would have to notch. If you can't see, I had to open up the floor quite a bit. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that this truck, if it had been a manual, it would have had a high hump on the transmission tunnel. So it wouldn't have to have that big giant hole in there. But my shifter boot will cover that up, no problem. But anyway, just one of those things. I already had a hole cut in it, so it's no big deal. Someday it would be nice to find a 4-wheel drive or a 2-wheel drive manual transmission tunnel, the tall tunnel, and then cut this whole piece out and then have the original piece to put back in, the higher piece. That would kind of complete the build. Alright, so don't mind the interior, it's a little bit of a mess. Let me show you this shifter if I can get in here. So check this out. And again, don't mind the interior, it's a little dated. I put these footprint gas pedals in there back when they were actually cool. So check this out. First, second, third, fourth, and reverse, all the way up and to the left. This is so nice. That Indy shifter that I had was really sloppy, and every now and then if you're really trying to go from first to second really fast, it would lock the gears, and then you had to get out and crawl underneath and move the forks underneath on the transmission. Yeah, good times. So anyway, that's the top of it, and my boot should still clear just fine. So I just have to redo the location of the boot is all. Whenever I do that, it should be good to go. So cool! Even misses my gauges. Oh, I love that. That is so cool. There's my boot. This thing is styling. So I just can't believe I've been collecting these parts, and I've had these parts for this truck for like, I'm thinking it's been at least 10 years. And I just don't know why I've never got it done. Like, that fits so perfect. Like, it even fits my console. Well, actually, it doesn't. See that? I can't get it in overdrive with my console down, but no big deal. This is from like a 2002 Chevy pickup. I want to get one that has a cup holders right here because this would be shorter. And if I got one of the shorter ones, the lid is also shorter, and then it would clear. So check it out, guys. I mean, that is such a quick shifting shifter. Oh man, I'm in love with that. And if you're driving down the road and you're in, in fourth gear, your knee doesn't really get in the way. Third gear is way out of the way, not hitting my gauges at all. So if you're going from first to second real quick, I love it. Oh, I'm so happy with this. I know I'm rambling a lot on this video, guys, but this is just a monument. This is just a big milestone for me to finally get this thing in here. These parts are so rare, and you just don't come across them very often, so I'm happy. Finally done. Now I just got to fill the new case with fluid, get the drive shaft back in, we'll take it for a rip. Not to boast, but I've even got the original plugs that plug up the hole in the bell housing. Like I said, guys, I've been collecting parts for about 10 years. So check this out. So because this bell housing had multiple options for the transmission, as you can see, those little plugs go in there and they plug the hole. And also, as you can see, I've got the linkages for the shifters all hooked up. I got the OEM linkages. I mean, everything is just factory fresh. And I am super, super happy to finally get this package all together. And everything hooks up, like even the speedometer gear. The speedometer hooks right up. So I just have to put the drive shaft in, fill it with fluid, and we'll be driving this thing. And there I've got my clutch return spring. So there's plenty of free play. Everything works fine. The clutch works perfect. So on this transmission, I'm using this AMSOIL. This is the only thing that I could find that was really GL4 rated. The GL5 gear oil, without going into a whole nother rant, GL5 uses EP additives such as sulfur and moly, which are corrosive to what they call yellow metals. So in like the synchronizers, they're usually made out of brass or bronze. And if they exceed like 200 degrees or so, the sulfur and all the other EP additives will activate, causing premature wear to the synchronizers. Anyway, long story short, this is the only GL4 lubricant that I could find. This transmission is supposed to have 8590 or 8090 GL4. it's almost unavailable anywhere around here. So basically I got one of these little pumps to pump it up inside the transmission. We've got 4 of these. We're gonna go ahead and fill that sucker up. So here it is, guys. I've been driving this for a little bit. It's not registered or anything, so really can't take it too many trips, but let me just show you what the shifter looks like. Boom! What a beautiful piece that is. It looks and fits perfectly. I did have to modify, sorry about that glare, I did have to modify the shifter boot a little bit from what it was before, and I plugged the holes in the floor. That's where the old shifter boot was. So check it out. Very nice.